Most people do not realize that their relationship with money began long before they ever earned any, long before their first job or their first payment. They were already absorbing the emotional tone of the people around them. Money was not taught as a neutral subject. It was taught as pressure, urgency, approval, fear, or tension. Those early emotional imprints became the filters through which they still interpret every financial situation today. So when someone says money feels hard, they are not describing money. They are describing the emotional patterns they practiced for years without noticing. The truth is that money itself is neutral. It has no personality. It simply follows the emotional rhythm you offer most consistently. When the energy you practice is safety, money feels safe to flow in. When the energy you practice is fear, money feels like something you must chase or control. Not because money is choosing, but because your emotional tone is the signal it responds to. The way a social media algorithm responds to your scrolling is the same way abundance responds to your vibration. You see a post, you do not resonate. You scroll past instantly. But if something matches your mood, you pause, you watch, you engage. And suddenly the entire feed adjusts to show you more of that exact tone. You are not forcing anything. You are simply matching a frequency, and the system delivers. Money works the same way. It mirrors the emotion you practice the most, not the words you say the loudest. This is why people can want abundance desperately but still block it emotionally. They send out two signals at once. I want more money as the desire. I do not believe it can come easily as the practiced belief. The belief always wins because the nervous system trusts what feels familiar, not what feels new. When people say they want money to flow easily, what they usually mean is that they want relief from the emotional heaviness around money. They want the desire without the fear. They want the vision without the doubt. They want the confidence without having to earn it through struggle. The secret is that this is not only possible, but natural. Money does not resist you. Well, your contradiction does. And contradiction sounds like this. I want abundance, but I do not want to do the things I believe abundance requires. When you speak that internally, you create tension instead of flow. You can soften it instantly by changing the framing. I want money, and I want to receive it in ways that feel aligned for me. The moment you say that, the resistance drops. You are no longer pushing and pulling at the same time. When you talk about why you want the money, there is usually far less resistance than when you talk about how it will come. The how activates all your doubts. The why activates your clarity. You can feel it in your body. I want more money because it would give me space. It would give me breathing room. It would let me support my family. It would let me make choices from calm instead of panic. These statements do not clash inside you. They align. Alignment is what opens the channels. People misunderstand what alignment actually means. It does not mean pretending your life is perfect. It does not mean forcing positivity. It simply means your thoughts, emotions, and desires are moving in the same direction instead of contradicting each other. It is the emotional equivalent of clearing static from a radio signal. When there is no static, the message comes through with clarity. When contradictions soften, the path clears. This is why trust matters. Trust is not some mystical virtue. It is the emotional state that neutralizes contradiction. Trust is simply the feeling of I do not need to know the logistics to feel supported. When you practice that, you become receptive. And when you are receptive, ideas occur to you that could never occur from a fearful state. People cross your path that you would never notice if you were spiraling. Money flows through channels that were always around you, but were invisible when your nervous system was in survival mode. Abundance does not magically appear. You become able to see and follow the pathways that already existed. The single most important part of letting money flow easily is learning to separate your emotions from your current reality. Your current reality is not permanent. It is only the temporary result of old habits, old beliefs, old circumstances, and old emotional tones. When you look at your bank balance and react with fear, you anchor your vibration to what already exists. You tell the universe, show me more of this. But when you take a breath, acknowledge the moment as temporary, and refuse to let it dictate your emotional tone, you tell the universe, I am moving forward, not repeating this. You do not need to pretend everything is perfect. You simply need to stop treating your present situation as if it defines your future. Nothing you are living right now is the final version of your story. You have lived through financial dips before and watched money appear again. You have experienced unexpected support. You have watched situations shift without a logical explanation. You have evidence from your own life that things turn around in ways you could not predict. The more you remember this, the more your emotional tone softens. Money flows easily when you stop tying your emotions to the timing. When you stop checking the clock, and you stop panicking at delays. Delays are not punishment. They are alignment gaps. They simply show where your belief has not yet caught up with your desire. That is all. If someone asks you whether the money has arrived, and you can genuinely smile and say, "Not yet," not from denial, but from inner knowing, then the flow is already active. That emotional steadiness is what abundance responds to. Money does not respond to desperation. It responds to the emotional stability of someone who feels safe receiving it. When you feel the way you imagine you will feel once the money arrives, you activate the very frequency that draws it in. Money becomes easy when you stop trying to earn it emotionally. You cannot earn worthiness. You already are worthy. When you feel that truth in your body, money becomes a natural part of your experience rather than something you negotiate your value for. Let yourself imagine what it feels like to live in a body that is not bracing for financial tension. Imagine what it feels like to make choices because you want to, not because you are cornered. Imagine what it feels like to take a deep breath and not have fear latch onto your chest. The version of you who feels that is the version of you abundance flows to. When you touch that emotional state, even for a moment, you create momentum. You update your internal algorithm, and the universe begins reorganizing itself around your new signal. Money does not define you. You define the relationship you allow with it. When your emotional tone matches the version of you who receives easily, money has no choice but to follow. The secret is not effort. It is emotional consistency. When your desire and your emotional tone finally match, abundance does not trickle in. It arrives with the same clarity that your signal broadcasts. When it does, you realize that nothing outside you shifted first. You shifted first. You changed your emotional coding, stopped arguing with your desire. You let the universe do its part. That is the secret that makes money flow easily. It's not pressure, not force, not spiritual gymnastics. Emotional alignment, clean desire, reduced contradiction, inner steadiness. The algorithm of abundance always responds to the tone you practice the most. And when you practice the tone of someone who feels worthy, supported, and open, the flow becomes unmistakable.